All right, so for the next tip in this series, I just want to show you something that is a little bit more practical, kind of like putting into practice some of the tips that I've given you in previous videos into something that is very specific in a concrete example of how you can use them. So for me, it would be teaching, because I do that online. I have like an online academy. I have a bunch of courses. So I do a lot of teaching online, and I use one of these tools, one of the, let's say the radial menus or the grid menus, connected to one of the express keys specifically for teaching. So let me just go ahead and show you what that means. All right, so here we are in ZBrush. Again, this is something that I've been showing you throughout this series, just because it is a software that I use quite often, and it's usually how I start my concepts. So this is one of the characters that I've developed for the course that I have online called the Extra Mile. So this is a character that I use as a demo to teach the students how to create something like this. So this is the 3D model, but then I'm going to show you the final render, right? So this is what I end up with. This is one of them. This is another render, kind of like showing this, squid creature, and is hunting things in the river or the lake or whatever. But the reason I want to show you this is because if I go back in here, and we're in the process of finalizing these or adding details or establishing proportions and things like that, if I take something, and let's assume that this is from a student, for example, I'd like to give critiques or feedback that are actually going to help the student, right? So what I've done is I mapped a grid menu to one of the express keys in my tablet. So if I click on the one that I've assigned, so it could be anything. So I'm not going to cover how to create any of these or how to assign them, because that's what we've done in the previous videos. But anyway, so this is my teaching tools. Doesn't say, you see that it says teaching tools in here. And I have this pin on the right hand side. So every time that I bring this in, it's going to open up in that area. All right. And it's very simple. I only have 5 buttons, and these buttons are the ones that I use all the time when I'm, providing feedback. So for me, let's go ahead and go back into Photoshop. By the way, I can bring this from absolutely any window that I'm in. So I assign this to be kind of like for all other apps, like as a default menu. So it doesn't change between software. It's always going to be this one regardless of the software. So let's go back in here. This is just a blank document. And so if I'm providing feedback, or if I'm just like, giving classes or whatever it is, what I'll do is I said, okay, this needs a bit of refinement in certain areas, right? So I like to just go ahead and click on this icon. That is going to bring in my print screen, and I can just drag and drop, or drag basically a rectangular like this. Then I'll go back into Photoshop and I click this icon to paste. So I'll just paste it in place. So now I can just go ahead and say, you know what, let's be careful with this wrinkle increasing here too much. Maybe we can add a little bit more of a compression fall happening here. In terms of proportion, maybe we can take the entire, glove and scale it up, and this is the type of things that I do. So it just allows me to provide this feedback and to create this type of paint overs and this sort of thing very, very easily. Now, if I want to, I can also, let's say, go back in ZBrush. I can just go ahead and, do something like this, do another print screen, copy that. Let's go back into Photoshop. I can paste it, and let's go ahead and, play around with this. So we can say, okay, this is a much larger, I don't know, just to change the scale a little bit. And I can just go ahead and click on this one to copy this layer and paste it again. So again, just copy and paste. So Control-C, Control-V, but it allows me to do that without, even thinking about the keyboard at all, right? So let's say that this is what I want to do for whatever reason. I can create a new layer here, and I can just go ahead and, start maybe with a different brush, actually. I usually use this one. There you go. I start blending this and say, okay, this large arm is something that works a little bit better in this context, blah, blah, blah. And there we go. So basically, this is obviously very, very rough, but this is the idea, that I can just go ahead and copy, paste, duplicate things, screenshot this, and so on and so forth very quickly with this Wacom menu, right? Now, these other two are for additional things. So let me just go back into ZBrush. So one thing that I really love using is a software called EpicPen. So if I click on this one, this is going to launch EpicPen. So I'm going to click on that one. So let me just go ahead and bring it in because it opens in a different window. And this is EpicPen. This is just a separate software, nothing to do with Wacom, but it allows me, when I'm using the Wacom, it allows you to select this type of tool, and I can literally paint over the screen regardless of the software. So I can say, okay, let's focus on the face now, blah, blah, blah. I can still move things around, and I can say, maybe this needs to be smaller, or, and I can write things like that. So this is what I wanted to show you, that as I work and let's say I teach or do a demo and I explain things like, all all right, this is a separate subtool, a different object from this. So let's separate this one, and I can just write and do annotations in here. So this button right here launches this application that allows me to write on the screen, and that's only if I don't want to take a screenshot. If I want to take a screenshot, I just use the other ones. So this is just like as I demo something that is live. I don't have to be switching between Photoshop and ZBrush. I can just simply use the EpicPen. All right, so that is what I wanted to show you. Let's just leave it there. And finally, I have another button here, which is a GifCam. So if I click on this one, it's going to launch another little software called the GifCam. And this allows me to create animated GIFs. So that way I can show specific things or kind of like provide feedback in a specific way. So I can go ahead and let's say, I'm going to take my brushes, select this, there we go, get closer here. I can click on recording, and then I can start moving this like so, just to adjust the volumes and say, you know what, this is what my proposed changes. I think this works a little bit better, blah, blah, blah. I can stop now, and I can save this, and it will be saved in the desktop or something like that. And then I can just go to my desktop, and I can bring in the animated GIF that I just recorded. So let's collapse this. There we go. So you see, it is a very simple way of creating these GIFs. So I can take something like this, and we have an online community for my course. I can post this in there and create a description, and the students that way they know a bit better, or like a bit more specifically what I'm referring to when I describe certain things. So again, this is something that, because I have the Wacom devices and the Wacom tools, it allows me to teach and allows me to do a specific task, which is again very specific to what I do on a daily basis, teaching in this case. But I just wanted to show you that you can create everything that you want to, or customize anything that you want in your tablet or in your Wacom Express keys and your buttons to suit the specific workflow or the specific profession that you're in. So in my case, it's teaching, and that's why I have these tools in here. So I'm going to leave this tip here, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.